is that what you took that same approach?
Yeah, no, we so today's Monday. Yesterday we got back late. So today's, a first practice in preparation for Elon. And we went probably an hour and a half. We only had a window today of 2 hours. So I let them shoot for 15 minutes before. They shot 15 minutes after, and we went about an hour and 20 minutes. But yeah, I think, getting back late and playing a game. So we had a 1 day prep, and then obviously tomorrow we only have a short window tomorrow because there's multiple games. So we'll utilize that hour tomorrow and do a lot of stuff in the locker room film wise, probably just because it's the shortest window that we've had really in a game.
Do you practice the rest of the week, or they break for Christmas, or kind of what do you?
Yeah, everybody's off after the game. So from the moment that we break out of that locker room, they're free, and guys will come back, and we'll practice on the 25th at night.
Eric, you said you had a lot of things to work on. I know, like you say, it's a short turnaround, but kind of what was the focus? And I would think defense, that's maybe the biggest issue right now. How do you feel about your defense? How do you fix it?
Yeah, I think you just got to, look at your, core tenets of your defense and continue to improve on it. I don't think that, lateral foot speed you're gonna change between our last game and our next game. Got to use our length better than we have. I did. The positive is we did defend the three a little bit better than we had in the past. But we got to protect the rim better. So we worked on shell defense today and did a lot of defensive drills. So we'll see between tomorrow's game and then when we have the 3 or 4 days in preparation before we go to Mississippi State to get ready for conference play as well. So I think tomorrow's game is a little bit more about us and us becoming better at what our core principles are on both sides of the ball.
Scott? I think Bob's question kind of leads me into mine. I'm curious what you and the staff have seen, or noticed in terms of like pick and roll coverage, like tagging rollers, that kind of stuff. Kind of what kind of things you're picking up on?
Well, a lot of things. Middle pick and roll has not really bothered us too much until last game. And then last game, we did not guard it very well at all. It's not one person or it's not two people that are involved in the pick and roll either. If you're playing a two-man game, if you can only have two defenders, play those two guys, it certainly alleviates a lot of pressure on giving up threes. But we had three different coverages, and we just did not execute either of those three coverages very well. So plan A of a soft trap didn't work. Plan B, what we call tracking at the level of the screen, didn't work. Switching was a little bit better, but became a little problematic with some of our smaller guards.
Coach,
Having said that, Houston's one of the best defensive teams in the country. And Coach Sampson, in my mind, is one of the best defensive coaches in college basketball. Might be the premier defensive coach in college basketball. And we watched that film, and that same team picked them apart. And they didn't have Ray that game. So we played a team that's really good at exploiting middle pick and roll. And I would assume we'll probably see that throughout the year with teams they play. Because I was shocked at how effective they were against Houston.
Coach, you did make a couple tweaks to the starting lineup the other night. Just curious what you saw from KK and what you're looking for out of him to maybe increase on the role that he has. And then maybe the same question with Stan. You mentioned him kind of stepping up as a vocal leader. and if there's anything that might be holding him back from really settling in at this point.
No, I mean, I think just with everybody, it's trying to find the right combinations. It's evaluating practice. It's evaluating, who can follow game plans for across the board, not any one player in particular. So I think it's just a matter of, who's playing well, what the team needs, who can guard their guy, staying out of foul trouble, defending the three. There's a whole bunch of things in regards to our entire team. Because Connor didn't play last game. Connor's been pretty good. Interesting that no one asked about Connor because he, in our league, is in the top 10 in shot blocking. So I think it's easy to, kind of, what about this, what about that? But unfortunately, you guys don't have the time to sit and watch practice every day. The rotations and stuff, I mean, I have a pretty good staff with a lot of experience. So I think it's just a continuing to try to tinker and toy. Last year at this time, Devo and Jay Will were not a prominent part of the rotation. And they continued to evolve and eventually became, at the end of the year, integral pieces to both us offensively and defensively.
So I'll ask you about Connor, but was he just not a good matchup because they obviously were kind of small and quick outside of Bay Bay?
Yeah, and to be honest with you, Bob, it's when Connor's off the bench, it's tough if you get down because you want to kind of speed the game up and use our athleticism. So I got to keep balancing that, because Connor's got effective numbers for us. He hasn't shot the ball from three very well, but he does do a good job around the rim, protecting the rim. So there's only there's only 40 minutes in a game, and so you got to figure out how you're going to divide that thing up. And we, other than the last 80 minutes, we were undefeated. Now, have we played good the last two games? No, we haven't. We haven't played very well at all. And, we played in two neutral gyms, although both of them were heavily, obviously in Little Rock, 100% Razorback fans. And I thought the following for the Oklahoma game was phenomenal. But still, we were, not in our home building. And we lost those games. And now we got to figure out a way to get back on track, and then we got to go to Mississippi State. So do we have a lot of work to do? Yes.
With KK, he has 2 quick assists, but he also missed 2 quick threes, and I assume he wasn't in there to shoot threes. Was that the reason you took him out so fast? Is hey, man, we need you to...
Yeah, I mean, the game plan going in was we wanted to score points in the paint. And, we didn't have that early on. I think the score was 8-9. At the first media timeout. We got to get off to better starts across the board as a team. Again, I'm not going to talk about one particular guy because we'd have to have a press conference every day. And so game plan, push the ball inside, try to get points in the paint. One of the assists was to Jay Will inside. He did a great job right there in the hot spot. Jackson played pretty well too.
And then, this is the first time you've lost back-to-back non-conference games here. You obviously haven't lost many games, period.
It's the first time, to my knowledge, that in 7 years we've lost back-to-back non-conference games.
So, how is your mindset? How are you dealing with this?
I mean, I'm overly competitive and dislike to lose. So I just want to keep trying to get better, and that's what we got to try to do.
Sorry.
Coach, you mentioned the improvement in the three-point defense. Just how much of a concentration is that going to be heading into tomorrow against a team that likes to shoot a lot of threes? And what's the key for your team to playing good three-point defense?
Well, again, I mean, every team has its own identity, its own, look like your coverages and like Chris Likes is a smaller guard, so he might give up some threes just because people can shoot over him. And so on the flip side, how can we put Chris in a position where maybe he can fly around and get some steals in rotations and stuff. So all that stuff continues to be, areas that we got to try to improve in. And it's logic. If you guard the three, that means you're more spread out, and then you're susceptible to, I think it was Scotty's question about, or whoever's question about middle pick and roll. So then the roll to the rim becomes a problem, and then you take away the roll to the rim and then 3-point. So you got to, a great team can cover all that. Well, most teams, you got to pick your poison on what you're going to try to take away. So to answer your question, do we need to defend 3 against Elon? Yes, we do.
I guess you said last week that you were going to address JD about shooting, quick threes when he's not hitting. I was wondering, is that why you didn't start, or is that just a lineup shake-up that you had in the last game?
No, I mean, I thought he played great last game other than his turnovers, and I thought some of his turnovers were passing up shots too. So he's still trying to figure out that balance as well. I think anytime there's a lot of things that go on with the team on who starts, who doesn't start, matchups, where you need scoring from, who clicks with another guy. That's why analytics becomes important too, to utilize every facet that you possibly can. And there'll be lineup changes again tomorrow.
Coach, I'm curious what you thought of HawgBeat's last 3 games, and I think he 9 points the other night was his best scoring night in a while. Before the last 3 games, his usage was somewhere between 16 and 22. The last 3 is somewhere around 10. Just what do you kind of make of that? What do you want to see from him?
Yeah, I thought last game Adis lacked the same defensive energy and going to the glass as he did, especially in Kansas City. His effectiveness is on the offensive glass and cutting. And I think that some people have taken away his cutting. He's being blocked out a lot harder, Scotty, because it really wasn't plays being run for him when his usage was a little bit higher. He's got to get back to being a little bit more active. And then, defensively, we need more energy, than what we saw, especially against Hofstra.
Eric, I know you said you guys are focused on you guys, and that's understandable, but Elon, I'm sure you know a little bit about them. They're 3-9, but they play just a killer schedule. I mean, you name it, they seem to have flight them to Carolina. You'll be the 3rd SEC team, play West Virginia. What do you think about their schedule and maybe how that's got them, somewhat ready to play a team like you guys?
Yeah, I mean, you watch. I mean, we were just watching just different clips, and I kept stopping the video and showing them especially in the first half against North Carolina, their scores up 1, 22-23. And they've hung around with a lot of those teams for stretches of games. I mean, it's going to help his team for sure in conference play, and obviously when teams have played multiple games in that environment, I think they're not going to walk in here tomorrow and if you played at Duke and played at UNC, I mean you're battle tested as far as playing on the road.
Thank you, Coach. Appreciate it.